Hello, this is the RPG Crawler, and welcome to another Indie Game Friday, where each week I take a look at a different independent computer role-playing game. This week I'm taking a look at one that, by now, a lot of people have probably heard of, but I'm going to take a look at it anyway. Developed by Matt Dabrowski and published by tinyBuild, Streets of Rogue was released in July of 2019. Streets of Rogue is an action roguelike, in the vein of Nuclear Throne, Enter the Gungeon, and so forth. It is set in a sort of pseudo-modern, near-future dystopia with a strong dose of humor using top-down pixel sprites and real-time action-based combat and exploration. In terms of plot, a totalitarian mayor has lied his way into power, then subsequently abused it once his position was secure. As a member of the Resistance, you are sent up into each layer of the city to accomplish various missions, free allies, and work to undermine the rule of the mayor. The first time you enter the game, you are thrust right into the tutorial section. Streets of Rogue allows you to use either the mouse or keyboard or controller. In subsequent runs, you begin in a hub area, one of the two main modes of the game, where you can purchase persistent upgrades with various chicken nuggets you find during a run. They're considered the persistent currency versus just money, which you find during a run and use during a run. The base has NPCs that allow you to adjust variable bonuses during play, from the traits that you can select during levels up to potential gear drops, as well as allowing you to buy additional gear to start your next run. All of these require various amounts of the chicken nugget currency. You can also rerun the tutorial section, as well as select various mutators that have different effects on elements of the game. You can select up to 2 mutators to have active at any one time, which can adjust the difficulty of various aspects of the game, and this does not require the expenditure of any currency, although some may be locked behind in-game accomplishments. There is a character selection NPC as well that lets you switch through all the variable classes and customize each one's appearances. There's a fair number of classes, with each providing different sets of starting gear, starting attributes, and starting traits based on their background. Many of the classes must be unlocked during events in-game, although you have access to several at the beginning. Once you enter the city, you will find it divided into 5 zones or levels, with each one becoming more difficult the further you go on. In order to unlock a zone, you must journey through the floors of the zone before it, starting with the slums. Once a zone is unlocked, you can go right to it. Each zone of the city has a number of levels, procedurally generated to present a city block or so with various missions. This is where you enter the main gameplay segments of the game. In the upper left, you have your current hit points, experience, and level, as well as your currently equipped weapon, amount of money collected, and any buffs. In the upper right is your minimap. In the lower left is your collection of hotkeyed items, and you can expand this to show your inventory. You move around the map with WASD, you aim with a mouse, you click to attack, or right-click to use special abilities, or, if you're using the controller, there's various buttons for all those. The aiming is required for both missile and melee weapons, so it's entirely possible to just punch air for a bit or accidentally hit your own people. At any moment, you can access your stats. This goes into more depth about your character's abilities. Each character has a current and cap level and 4 basic attributes: endurance, speed, melee, and firearms. You also have various traits. Each character starts with traits specific to their class, but may select from a list of 3 additional traits each time they level up. These traits affect a wide variety of things, from upping basic attributes to giving you special abilities to giving triggered abilities or affecting your skill with certain weapons. The stats screen also gives you interesting information about your current game, from the number of people killed or knocked out, innocents killed, people angered, time taken, how much you destroyed, stolen, etc. On a particular floor, you can also hit tab to see the map of the area as well as your current missions. Each floor has a set of mandatory missions that must be completed before the exit unlocks, as well as an optional mission that impacts the main quest. You may also uncover special missions during the play, which are also tracked here. The screen allows you to teleport about the map in order to easily traverse large levels. Whenever you finish a level, you are given a summary screen that shows basically what your stats screen showed about your current level, and you're given the opportunity to actually level up your character if you've earned enough experience. This is about the only time you can level up. Each level up allows you to pick one of 3 randomly generated traits. NPCs within the city can be neutral, allied, or hostile. You can recruit followers either by completing quests or, more commonly, simply paying them. They'll follow you around and help, but be careful because they will aggro on you if you shoot them, unless you've managed to negate friendly fire somehow. NPCs will also have an alert range, investigate unusual noises, get angry if you go into areas you're not supposed to, and so forth. This makes for a surprisingly wide variety of gameplay depending on your class and preferred style. The world allows you to not only hire random NPCs, but buy things from various vendors, use various items that you find on the street, and so forth. These can range from trash cans that may have interesting debris, computer systems that allow for control of various locks within a building, various vending machines, and so forth. NPCs are impacted by lighting levels, and you may be able to tamper with a building's air system, interacting with windows or doors to knock on them to get NPCs' attention, turn lights off by blowing generators, and so forth. Different levels can have different events as well, such as ongoing faction wars or a bounty on your head that impacts play throughout the entire level. Maneuvering through a level to accomplish your goals while not angering the police, all during a gang war, can be a totally different feel from play during a normal level. Graphically, Streets of Rogue is a clean but pretty standard pixel art top-down roguelike. Musically, the soundtrack is pretty solid if you like the whole cyberpunk aesthetic that the game presents. The controls are about as tight as you can ask for once you get used to it, and the writing is okay. It actually takes a humorous kind of tone, and while relatively inoffensive, it does hit more often than it misses, which is, not something that every humor-based game does. But at the end of the day, it's really the interaction between otherwise simple systems that makes the game. The various items you can interact with, the way NPCs interact with one another, and so forth. It brings a complexity to this game that's kind of hard to describe. It makes playing different classes, the soldier versus the thief, for instance, make for drastically different play styles. You can play a more run-and-gun type game with a soldier and a couple of buddies, or you can go ahead and use a more stealth-based approach with the thief or, a variety of other characters. Furthermore, there is a co-op section that allows you to play up to 4 players on the same map and get the same sort of effect. With a wide variety of missions and locales, however, it does mean that planning helps a lot in approaching each individual building. Some are complex enough that treating the building is a full-on heist, and planning out how to deal with a particular combination of traps and NPCs can be extremely beneficial. Even if you're playing a more kick-in-the-door type game with guns blazing, deciding which weapon to use for a particular room actually takes on a whole new level, especially if your mission is to, say, rescue an NPC from a room full of enemies or beside a potentially explosive generator. You'll want to pick something that's not going to blow everything up. The persistent advancement mechanic does tend to accrue things relatively swiftly, and once you've been playing for a while, you do get used to the building layouts, but that's honestly a common problem with the entire genre and not necessarily this game. Machines can be tampered with, munitions can be used to detonate walls, the NPCs can be caught in each other's fire, you can hit NPCs so hard that they fly through walls, destroy doors, shoot through windows, all of that. It's an aspect of environmental interaction and emergent gameplay that really elevates Streets of Rogue from just yet another action roguelike, and I can appreciate that. I would say that it's easily worth the full price of admission for fans of the action roguelike genre. But it often goes on sale, and I've seen it in a few bundles as well, so if you're really interested in the game but don't need to go out and get it right away, because it has been out for a couple of years now, I would recommend at least wishlisting it and taking a look at it when you can get it at a discount, because it really is kind of interesting. On that note, I think I will wrap this one up here. This has been the RPG Crawler with Indie Game Friday Streets of Rogue. As always, I'll toss a link to where you can get it below. If you like what you've seen, remember to leave a like, comment if you've got any feedback, and subscribe for more RPG content, both tabletop and computer. Until next time, take care and goodbye.
And if you're still watching this far, I'd like to take a moment to thank those who have supported this channel via Patreon or direct donations throughout the years, without which this channel could not have lasted as long as it has. For those who are feeling particularly generous, you can still support my work through Patreon and now through Subscribestar as well, through the links in the description below.